Welcome to Kalamazoo and You. This is a program where we have conversations with City of Kalamazoo staff on important topics as well as events and activities. I'm Mike Smith. I'm the Communication Manager for the City of Kalamazoo and welcome you to this program. On this segment, we talk about sustainability issues in the City of Kalamazoo, and with us to talk about sustainability are Justin Gish, you are the Sustainability Planner for the City of Kalamazoo, and Brian LaBelle, Forestry Supervisor for the City of Kalamazoo. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And let's talk about Earth Day and Arbor Day first, because that's coming up this month. So how do both observances impact or affect or connect with what the city is doing?
Yeah, so I'll talk about Earth Day a little bit. So Earth Day is kind of the traditional, celebration of the environment and Earth. It just kind of coincides with everything waking up here in Kalamazoo. So, as the weather gets warmer, people want to get outside. They start to notice things. They start to notice trash. They start to notice, plants might be blooming or might not. So it's really just, it's a time for folks to remember, that we live on this earth. We got to take care of it a little bit. And then the city, we start to think about things like plantings and things like that. So we'll have some native planting events coming up in April to coincide with Earth Day and things like that. So it's really the kickoff of our busy season. Winter's kind of dormant. I can kind of do research and focus on, less outdoors things. But once spring hits, then, we're going outdoors. We're trying to get in the world and do some work.
As far as forestry, we always have an Arbor Day event. And usually that entails of us planting trees or taking care of trees. And it's really a way for us to show that we're out there doing the work and that we can really do a good thing for the city. And a lot of times we invite the public to help, and we teach about pruning, we teach about maintenance, we teach about planting, and it's just a really good way to get out in the park and just have a good day planting trees.
Now let's talk about the sustainability plan. The City of Kalamazoo has a community sustainability plan. So what's in the plan, and why is it important and necessary to have a sustainability plan?
Yeah, so sustainability plan was prompted by the City Commission declaring a climate emergency in 2019. So the City Commission declared climate emergency 2019, charged city staff at the time to create a community sustainability plan, which will kind of show how the city is going to respond to that climate emergency. City staff drafted that plan. It was approved by the City Commission in 2022, and then my position was created in 2023. So I came on board after the plan was already written. And what's in the plan? I mean, I jokingly say every environmental issue that no city staff already deals with. So it talks about native plantings, it talks about green circular economy, a more well-connected city so folks can get around without using gas-powered vehicles. And then it also talks about more city-specific operations, so how the city should operate. So it sets a net zero carbon emissions goal for the city by 2050. It has the city moving towards an electric vehicle fleet. So it really runs the gamut. I mean, everything's in there. It'd be hard to kind of go through every bullet point. That's the broad strokes. It's important too because then citizens and residents and folks know that the city is working on these things. It's out there, it's available, and they can use that plan to hold city staff accountable.
So some highlights might be what then?
Yeah, I think definitely folks like to see the city increasing their electric vehicle fleet, and the city did purchase 2 electric pickups.
Yep, you'll see some of those Chevy Silverado EVs going around.
Yes.
Yeah,
Give them a wave. They're pretty nice.
Those are on Brian's side. So he's in public services. I'm in community planning, economic development. Another, pretty impressive feat that we'd accomplished. We worked on a partnership with Consumers Energy to purchase renewable power, going forward, starting in 2028. So that'll have the city, the municipal operations, greenhouse gases. So the city is already halfway to net zero just with this agreement here. Native plantings and parks, so looking at parks and public spaces and how to get native species in there, which benefit the ecosystem a little bit better than your traditional annual plants that you might see grown in a greenhouse, things like that. That's what's coming up now, and it's probably just because it's the time of the season, but yeah, it's a lot of native planting stuff.
Now, what are some of the major issues and concerns you both see today regarding the goal of having a responsible environment?
Well, for me, it's really fixing the errors of the past and really going about looking at it in the future and looking at it in a larger scale picture. It's not just one tree, it's not just one planting, it's the whole ecosystem. And so when we go about it that way, we try to set ourselves better in the future by selecting different species, thinking about climate change and what species will be suited in the future, thinking about what this species means in this exact point in time. And so we're trying to set it up in the future by like really going about it in a wide scale. So we're really trying to set ourselves up to not be in the same position we are now.
And so you're talking about trees now. So we have some kind of a tree, maybe not an initiative, but an effort to try to improve and enhance the quality of the trees that we have. So maybe you can talk about that as well.
So I started 5 years ago, and at that time we did not have a data management system. We did not have a census, and that was my first goal, was to get to know exactly what we have out there and see where we could start and where we could start moving forward. So once we got our grants for that, we started rolling. So then we got every planting space we know about. So then all of a sudden now we can start running on these planting contracts. So now we know exactly where the bad ones are and where we need to put good ones, and then we can start focusing on certain neighborhoods. And then that's how we started going about that. And so the city's end result is to have a healthy, workable urban environment and grow the green space overall throughout the whole city. Now there's some places that are underserved, and those are places that we're putting more effort into plantings and having these events with community members and such, so that we can show them what we're doing. Not only that, but show them the importance of what we're doing, because to some degree that's a hurdle as well, is trying to provide citizens with a way to see these things, like for me, trees, as actual critical infrastructure. I see them as just as critical as a fire hydrant or anything else that you might have in the city as a street light. And so that's to be able to grow that and have the community buy in, because they're also living with those trees as well, and they also can help those trees survive. So I need their buy-in as well. So it needs to be a whole community effort. So we need them to want the trees, know about the trees, and provide a little bit of care, just so we can all grow as a whole, like a whole environment.
And there's a tree committee that oversees a lot of the issues that you're talking about?
Well, the tree committee is based up with myself, Consumers Energy, and someone from the Environmental Concerns Committee. And what we do is, when someone brings an issue of that has to do with anything to do with trees, we have a discussion and we bring it to a vote. And at that point, it's usually what it is. It's more or less based for construction projects that they may need to remove, or because they have certain issues that with the tree that, sadly, that it has to be removed for crane access or something along those lines. And so what we do is we try to put a value on that tree and make sure that we're actually not losing the canopy coverage. So it's usually a replacement. It can be anywhere from 2 to 5, and sometimes if the tree's large enough, it can be larger than that. And so we just have to make sure that when we have to take out these trees, we replace them.
Are there any factors that limit the lifespan of trees in terms of tree survival in the city of Kalamazoo and in urban environments in general?
There's more than you can count, but I mean, it's everything from salt, it's everything from drought, it's everything from the size of the root capacity, because you're not putting them in a native environment. You're putting them in a curb lawn in a lot of these places, so they can only grow roots on 3 sides. So you only have 2/3 of the roots right off the bat. So then you think about that, the drought stress and all these things. Then you have all these infrastructure projects that are all happening all at the same time, and those are great for the city, but those things all affect trees. And so really it's all about mitigating all those factors, and that's why 1 out of 10 trees survive past 10 years. And that's because there's just so many factors that can kill them. I mean, even just someone deciding they don't like the tree. There's so many factors that kill trees in the city, and it's just not an environment for them. That's why you have to pick and selectively choose the correct tree for the correct place, because if you don't do that, then your chances even go farther down.
Now, for both of you, what are some of the environmental concerns in the city of Kalamazoo that you can talk about?
Yeah, so Brian mentioned the Environmental Concerns Committee. I'm the staff liaison of that committee, so I hear citizen complaints and concerns about the environment. Another one that keeps popping up is the number of deer in the city. I'm trying to figure out what to do, if anything, there. Brian mentioned salt again, salt getting into our kettle lakes in the city. So the road salt that we put down eventually ends up in the lakes, and it's turning these lakes, salty. That's damaging there. Again, going back to the native species piece, folks want to see less lawns and more native plants. There's issues there. Less lawns means generally less fertilizers. Less fertilizers means less fertilizers and phosphorus going into lakes and things like that. Those are the big ones that I hear from a natural world standpoint. You're always going to hear about energy efficiency, solar panels, renewable energy, that type of stuff. Folks want to see more of that in the city. Those are the big ones that I deal with on a daily basis.
Well, for me, it's about, like I said, setting it up for the future with changing and having more or less a big picture view of trying to figure out what trees are going to be surviving in the future. Whereas there's a natural migration of trees with the climate. So you have to choose the ones that that'll work in the system, but you have to choose the ones that will be in the future will be prosperous. We're thinking in 80 years, 100 years down the line. So it's really it's a hard choice, but it's really, you kind of have to really do your due diligence to figure out what's the right species for the right place because of the changing environment.
Now, everybody talks about the issues involving global warming, climate control, or climate change, I should say, land pollution, those issues that we're all talking about and been talking about for years. So what does the future hold for our society regarding the environment, including here in the city of Kalamazoo?
Yeah, I guess broad strokes, with the climate, things are going to change. Nobody knows exactly how much they're going to change, but they will change. You kind of see it now with kind of more dramatic rain events, but then also you see more droughts and things like that. So yeah, things will change, and the word in my field, it's shifting from sustainability, which kind of gives you this idea of kind of keeping or maintaining something, in resiliency. So trying to build in systems that will be more resilient as things change. So then that goes to Brian's piece about planting trees that, in 50 years would be more resilient to the environment. So it's not just sustainability, it's thinking ahead and kind of anticipating change. Without a crystal ball, nobody can say for sure what'll happen, but things will happen. So, but the decisions that we make now will impact in the future. So if we can get our things together, cut down our greenhouse gases, try to hit that 1.5 degrees target, we can kind of stave off some of the most dramatic effects of that. But on the flip side, we need to be prepared for things to get a little bit weird in the weather sense and the climate sense, and we need to prepare for that and become more resilient.
Yep, that's kind of what I was thinking, except a little bit more about what happened in the past and trying to not make the same mistakes. For me, as the trees, if you look around and you see silver maples, and then you see Callery pears, and you see some of these other trees that are now looked at as invasive species, but they were gap fillers for other tree species that had declined. We had American elm that died, and those were a very popular street tree. We also had all of our ash trees on the street side pretty much are all gone. So they chose those other species to fill in the gaps. So it was just the taste of the time, I suppose. And now those are some of our biggest problems. And so I do not want to have that person who's my successor have those same exact problems. So that's why you have to think smarter and work harder.
Okay, and that ends our segment. Brian LaBelle, Justin Gish, thank you for this insight as well. And that concludes our segment. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.